Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where I've made a few modifications to the Tylo Outpost lander system. I've added these strap-on tanks that will be ejected partway into the landing, no matter what, whether they have too much fuel or not. We're going to have about 3,000 DV in this while still having about a 2 thrust-to-weight ratio over Tylo, if I recall correctly. Let's actually double-check that. So we turn up the fuel. These are launching unfueled, I should note. We're going to refuel them in orbit. So, let's see, 1.77 with a max of 2.51. Yeah, and a little bit over 3,000 DV between the two stages. So this one is 0.73, right? So this stage here needs to be burned out fairly early on. It has like 5 minutes of burn time. So we need to make sure that this gets burned before we're coming in for the proper landing, right? As long as we are on this section here for the proper landing, it should be theoretically okay. But we're going to drop that fuel back out because we don't really have the thrust to weight to lift all of this with the fuel. So we will have to refuel these on orbit, and that is fully expected. We've already got Spaghetti and Libus in our crew here, so that's fine. Let's go ahead and get this thing lifted. Save and launch. Let's go. So as long as we get this thing into orbit, we can refuel it off camera. That will take a while, no doubt about that, but it is still necessary. Very, very necessary. So let's get this thing into orbit and we can get it refueled. Just because KSP2 is coming out very soon, we're very pressed for time. And refueling is boring, right? We've done it a million times already in this series, and there's not much point in covering the refueling operations. Everybody knows how this works at this point in the series, right? I hope. But we're out of here. We should be reasonably stable here. And let's begin a bit of a gravity turn here. Okay. Feeling a wee bit floaty. So that's noted. Okay, let's go ahead and lock to prograde here. I don't necessarily love our heading right now. Yeah, this is definitely feeling a bit floaty. Noted. Our center of mass will be a bit different because this is all empty, right? But it should be roughly the same mass as the other lifter. So I'm not entirely certain about that, but it should be about the same. I'm correcting us upward a little bit here. Ooh. We're apparently having a bit of a hard time making it back to the prograde marker. Indeed. I don't love that. Okay. We'll hold attitude right here. It's wanting to tumble over this way. I'll see about fixing that manually. Okay. How long do we have on our SRB burns? Noted. Cool. SRB detaches are going to be relatively soon here. We can see our apoapsis height is already quite high. So that's fine. I'm just trying to fix our roll here real quick. Yeah, this definitely wants to tumble over, but I am able to stop it. So that's good. I'm hoping that that will no longer be the case once our SRBs detach. It's probably just a slightly flawed positioning of our SRBs. Okay. We were able to hold this marker fairly easily. 2, 1, 0. Okay. Now, as we can see, our apoapsis height is quite high. No doubt about that one. That's reasonably okay. What that does probably end up meaning, well, it's gonna not really take that much more refueling to get to that altitude. It's not gonna be that bad. We're now officially in space. We don't have very much horizontal speed at this moment. So we're just heading on over to the horizon, and we're just going to look to circularize here. It's reasonably fine. I overshot that a little bit. Cool. So something like this. And then we will go ahead and lock to the maneuver node. Okay, so definitely a bit high on this one, but that was because it wanted to pull over to the side. And so I prioritized holding stability instead of necessarily hitting an optimal apoapsis height. It's okay. No major concerns there. We're going to physics warp here as we complete this turn and prepare for our circularization burn. Looks like we've got a decent amount of DV left here, no problem whatsoever there. And of course, we're going to have to refuel quite a lot here. How much? It's almost 1 oxidizer per meter per second, but not quite. Okay, noted. Well, we're just going to warp forward a little bit here while we prepare for this burn. We're going to be a bit higher than our usual intercepts, but that's okay. I'm not too concerned about that. 50 seconds, 40, 30, 20, and 10. Let's warp a little bit further. 3, 2, 1, mark. And off we go with our very, very powerful mainsail engines, burning out the majority of this remaining oxidizer. Cool. So that'll be fine. And our thrust to weight here is steadily increasing, which is fully expected. We've got about another 40 seconds left on this burn. Whoa, okay. We wiggle around quite a lot when we're on physics warp with the mainsails. So let's not do that. That'll be fine. Fantastic. We are at the apoapsis as of, well, here in allegedly 2 seconds. They're not 2 real seconds, but now is when we're at the apoapsis. Decent timing on that. It'll do. It'll do. Okay. We're now officially in orbit and continuing to push up our periapsis to circularize a bit. That'll do. That's good enough. Cool. We'll stop this rotation. There we go. And let's just sit on prograde for the time being. So how much oxidizer do we have left? A little bit. Honestly, I want to just get rid of this oxidizer. So I'm going to pin open all of these fuel tanks. There will be 16 of them in total. So that's 4. Autosave? Thanks. Okay. 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's half of them. Now we can get this side. There we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the last one. 1, 2, 3, and finally 4. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to block the flow of liquid fuel. We are looking to only eject oxidizer. We do not need additional oxidizer, but we want all of the liquid fuel we can get our hands on. I believe it's this way. It might be the other. We're going to find out. No, I guess it doesn't work anymore. You used to be able to just get rid of your oxidizer this way. Okay, noted. That's fine. We're going to turn all of these back on then. So apparently that doesn't work anymore. Sure. That's completely fine. We'll just burn off our oxidizer the way we have been. No problem. So we're now going to need to refuel this thing, right? No doubt about that. And it's going to be quite a lot of refueling. So we're going to have to do that. But for the time being, I'm thinking about instead leaving this be, doing that off camera between episodes, and hopping over to Jool and getting our Jool station operational. So the one that's going to be orbiting around Jool, right? What is the atmosphere height of Jool? 200,000. So we'd aim for something like, I don't know, 250? Something like that. So we'll set this not as our target, but actually switch to. There we go. Cool. So our Tylo outpost is on the way. It just needs to be refueled at this point. And we want to grab one of these non-center ones here. That's for sure. So which one of these are we going to grab? Honestly, it does not matter as long as it's not this center one. So I'm going to retract these two solar panels just to make some room. I'm going to undock, swap over to this, retract this guy. Beautiful. And now we're going to get a little bit of distance. There we go. All we want is just that small bit of distance. Okay, so now we can open up these solar panels. This one here and this one here. Beautiful. Of course, we're not going to be mining anything in a Jool station, but that's fine. We can also retract these guys. Fantastic. Okay, and let's get ourselves into position here. So we can do a retrograde burn somewhere around here. We'd be aiming for like 250 kilometers, right? I mean, that's not telling me what I want to know. Okay. So yeah, like 250 kilometers. If Jool's top here... I want to focus camera. There we go. If Jool's atmosphere height is 200,000, then we'll aim for about 250. I mean, that's way too low, obviously. Bringing this up to... that's too low. We don't want to be in the atmosphere. That's for sure. But we want to be just over it in low Jool orbit. So we're aiming for that sweet, sweet 250 mark. Somewhere around here. Now we're going to be going past Lay's here. On the way in. So I think instead we're going to change our timing here slightly. And push this back out. Okay, we'll readjust our actual burn here. Ooh, that was really close. 255? 247? Almost there? That'll do. Okay. So we'll line up for that maneuver. And I don't really want to physics warp with this still loaded in. So we'll wait on that. And like I said, I'm going to refuel the Tylo outpost between episodes, so we're just going to get this in position this episode and call that good. And then we are going to, at that point, we're going to grab our in-space low over Jool to do in our mobile processing lab. But at that point, once we have this set up, then we'll have the Tylo outpost come in next, but that's a next episode sort of thing. So let's go ahead and warp on forward here. This will unload, and now suddenly performance is so much better. It is getting better over there as we detach these, and so that's good. Okay, so our time warp is complete. Our burn is going to be in about a minute here. Not sure what we're looking at there, but that's fine. Here in about 10 seconds. There's our target. Beautiful. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay, so this is going to be a 5-minute burn. I'm going to quick save in case there's any crack-ins with the physics warp, but there shouldn't be. So we're going to physics warp here and burn this just that little bit faster. Cool. And we should have more than enough delta V to get this set up as a station around Jool. 600 meters per second to go in this burn. Beautiful. Make that 500 meters per second. It's definitely a lengthy burn, but this is what we expect with these atomic rocket motors. No doubt about that. We're not going to be having very much in terms of electric flow here with our solar panels being virtually parallel to the sun. But I mean, we're not expecting much electric flow at Jool anyway. Which that is one thing we're probably going to want to rework for Elu. Solar panels are just not going to work on Elu, right? They barely work at Jool. So we should probably have a different power model for Elu. Perhaps fuel cells or something along those lines. I don't know. Fuel cells are probably energy negative when you're crafting the fuel. So we'll have to have something. Okay, let's just get this last little bit done. Overshot slightly. Okay. We definitely overshot slightly. Let's physics warp this around. And I'm also going to limit this rocket engine for right now down to 0.5% as we are preparing to correct this. And we're going to bring this up to about that 250 marker. Like I said, I overshot a little bit. Okay. 240, and that'll do. Beautiful. So now we're going to thrust limit this engine. There we go. We're going to need it at full thrust when we get up over here. We're going to add a retrograde maneuver and circularize around Jool. That's a little much, but something along the lines of this should do. Kind of. Kind of. It's close enough. We have a 50-kilometer margin, in theory, so that should be fine. So we can see here that this is going to be 2,600 meters per second. We do have enough to get that done and still have a little bit left over. So let's go ahead and warp on in. Here we come, Jool. Very slowly falling towards Jool here. And this is going to be another fairly lengthy burn to get us into position there, but we can definitely physics warp it. So that should be absolutely fine. So this is, of course, going to become an orbital station because you can't exactly land on Jool. It's not exactly going to be a colony. But in we come. Beautiful. We're currently 1 minute away from this burn. We want to be on the maneuver node. Thank you very much. Okay. There we go. And we want to make sure that we don't dip into the Julian atmosphere because that would be awkward. And Jankel and Judith would not survive. That's for sure. That is absolutely the truth. So let's go ahead and continue to warp forward here a little bit. About 10 seconds until this burn starts. 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay. We're going to physics warp as we burn this. We're very likely... We're draining a little bit of power here and there, but this does have an alternator on it. So we should be okay as far as power goes, despite being on the dark side of Jool here. Okay. So we're bringing that apoapsis on in. Beautiful. This is going to be a very lengthy burn. Another 10 minutes in it, approximately. But we're not going to have any encounters on the way in. And with any luck, this is actually accurate at the 200-kilometer mark. It should be. If it's not accurate, I have questions. But it should be accurate. So 200 kilometers, we should be absolutely fine at 250, right? No problem whatsoever there. This is dropping a little bit. So that's definitely noted. We may have to do a little bit of corrective burning, but it should be fine. Should be completely and totally fine. We're going to burn out our entire nuclear engine here pretty quickly. I say pretty quickly. We've got another 250 seconds of burn on it. But I'm just watching this number and making sure that it doesn't dip below 200. It's not going to. but I do think a corrective burn will be necessary because of the long burn time here. This is the danger of low thrust-to-weight ratios, right? So that's to be expected. About 150 seconds left to burn in our nuclear engine. And we'll have a little bit left over. We are definitely in Jool orbit. It's not going to be a perfect Julian orbit at this point. I keep hoping that this number starts coming up soon. But okay, 60 seconds left in our nuclear engine. So we're going to come out of physics warp here soon for this separation. 30 seconds left. 20. 10 seconds remaining. Okay, coming out, and we are going to 3, 2, 1, 0, stage separation. Okay. So we're continuing to burn here. And yeah, we see that periapsis is now coming up. Beautiful. So we're going to resume our physics warp. There's a big sway here. Quite an oscillation. That's interesting. I feel like that oscillation shouldn't exist, but whatever. I guess it's fine. We're definitely seeing the Jool periapsis come up here. I'm going to go to 2x. Now 3x. Now 4x. Okay, the oscillation appears manageable. So we're going to stay on 4x until we've got, like, I don't know, 30 seconds of burn time left. And then we'll do some corrective burns. Okay, there we go. 30 seconds of burn left. And now we're just going to park right on that node. Beautiful. So we're bringing this on around here. 100 meters per second left here. We just now passed our periapsis, hilariously. And this is currently going down again, which I don't love, but it's fine. We're bringing the apoapsis down to that 250 marker. That's the goal here. 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. So now we're going to raise our periapsis back up with a quick corrective burn. So we're looking to bring this up to about... where are we? I think this is correct. Yeah, that's about correct. Cool. So that's 11.3 meters per second. That burn will be in about 1 hour. So we'll go ahead and warp to that. We're going to be dangerously close to the Julian atmosphere, but we're not going to be within it. That's quite a thing. That is quite a thing indeed. We're going to warp forward here. And this is going to be a fairly cautious burn. So I'm going to commence the burn around now. And we're just raising this periapsis up. That'll do. That's close enough. Beautiful. So that's a nice circular close orbit around Jool. It's not exactly correctly inclined, like it's not exactly equatorial, but I don't think it needs to be. This'll do just fine. Now, naturally, we don't have any deployables to do here. That's to be expected. But we can go ahead and deploy the rest of these in an approximation of what we would be at. So we're just going to grab this and detach these bad boys. Fantastic. We'll detach you as well. And then, of course, I'm going to just detach all of these. So we'll grab this, and this, and finally this. Cool. So those are all detached, and we can now board. And we can have these... The traverse rate is correct. We can have these go down to 90 degrees. Not like there's anything for them to sit on, right? But they can definitely do it. So you can go down to 90 degrees as well. Fantastic. We'll just deploy all of this. Beautiful. And finally, this one. Down to 90 degrees. Cool. Now we could re-strut them in here. What happened here? Something must have moved around while we were doing one of our warpings. That's not normal. Okay, well, that's fine. That's reasonably fine. So really all we're looking to do here at this point is start doing our science, right? So we can grab our temperature scan and process that in the lab. We can do our atmospheric pressure scan and process that in the lab. We can do a gravity scan, process that in the lab. And a magnetometer report. Will that fit? I don't know if that'll fit. It did. Cool. So we'll go ahead and start that research. Now, this is going to eat up our power, for sure. But there we go. There's our Jool station done. Now it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And off camera, I'm going to get our Tylo colony refueled. And next episode, we're going to bring that in. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Kentuin, James, Shadowwolf, Mlohan80, Kentogan, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Spartan News, Unisil, Rogue Corvid, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.